Hey guys, Stick to Me here. Do you consider yourself to be a big and tall person? Well, I did not, at least not until Hoffree sent me out their big and tall office chair. So this is an executive leather office chair that seems to be super sturdy and designed for larger people who may or may not have put on a few pounds recently. So thank you to Hoffree for sending me out their desk chair to try. In this video, I'm going to be taking out of the box. We'll also do a full setup and I will give you my initial impressions in terms of what I think about this chair, and we'll even compare it to this $600 drafting chair that I bought a few years ago. Without further ado, let's get into the unboxing.
Oh boy, it's Tech Timmy time.
All right, so here we are with my unboxing station. Thanks again to Hoffree for sending out the chair. I'm going to do my best to get this out of the box as elegantly as possible. And what I'll do is I will fast forward through the process of me unwrapping things and taking it, taking the pieces out of the box and getting them organized. So I'm going to do that, and I'll speed up the video during that part so that you guys don't have to sit through that piece. My understanding is that this takes roughly between 30 minutes to an hour setup, depending on your level of technical expertise. I took the bat knife out here just for the occasion. I'm Batman. So we're gonna take it out of the box and get a first look. So a little bit of cardboard on the top, we'll get rid of that. My understanding is the documentation for this is actually really good. It looks like we do have several pieces to assemble here, and that's okay. Let me just see. Yeah, this looks straightforward enough. We got this, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and take everything out of the box. I'll lay it all out nicely in a nice organized manner, and then we'll put the sucker together. Let's go. Okay, so the initial steps of the setup are all about the base. It's a song, we're all about the base. Okay, so we have basically step one is to put the legs on, and step two is to insert the wheels in the legs. Took me a minute to figure this part out, so here's a little pro tip for you. You basically want to take this thing off first before you attempt to put the legs on, and I'll show you why. Watch. Because if that was still there, this wouldn't slide down properly, and you want to be able to get the two holes lined up perfectly, just like that. And then what it's going to have us do is install these M screws in there. So M is our first type of screw. I'm going to go ahead and get the base set. We'll install the legs, and then I'll report back before we install the wheels in there. But let's get this initial step done. All right, as I'm getting the last leg installed here, I want to say this is pretty straightforward even for me. So I'm a pretty technical guy, but technical to me means things that have transistors and computer chips in them. Not necessarily this kind of stuff, so I'm usually bad at this, but the directions are super straightforward. But hopefully you're finding this helpful. So I've got the screws maybe threaded almost 9/10 of the way in. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten them up next. After this, we're gonna stick the wheels in, as I said before, but let me get this tightened up, and then we'll move on to the wheels. Well, as I'm doing this, the other thing I will say is that this is a really nice steel base. Even my fancy pants drafting chair over there has a plastic base. This is super solid steel, and these screws are going in really well. So this is well made, and I can see where, you know, it's going to live up to its claim as being designed to handle big and tall. And my understanding is that the weight limit on this is 450 pounds. I still got a little bit to go before I get to 450, but I'm not too far off. So good on you, Hoffree, for recognizing that I needed a big and tall chair. But whatever. Okay. So I'm gonna finish tightening this up, and then we'll throw the wheels in. All right. So that's that, and now we can probably safely, maybe, stick this guy back on here. I'm hoping it still goes. Yeah, it goes beautifully. Look at how nice that looks. This is a very sturdy and nice looking base, guys. And I do like the matte black color here. Yeah, I think my drafting chair is going bye-bye after I get this thing set up, but we'll see. All right, next thing it wants us to do is to install the wheels. And my understanding is that these just pop in. So let's see. Let's see if that is actually what's true. Yes, and of course, your full weight is going to be up against these things. So they just pop in like that and should be totally fine. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the other 4, and then we'll move on to the next step. Wheels are so fun, aren't they? The wheels fun. Look at this, and they're just fun. So it looks like the next thing it wants us to do is to grab this piston, and it looks like that just sits in there like that. And indeed it does. So this is where the hydraulic magic happens, I believe. And then this guy, it's like a fun little hat. Look, this just goes, I think, that way on top of here like that to act as a nice cover. So the engineering on this thing so far is super impressive. Now, next we are going to get into the seat, but let me grab that next. All right, quick check-in. We got steps 1, 2, and 3 done. And now it wants us to do the bottom part of the chair, not the back, but the part of the chair where you put your butt.
What?
So let me grab that. Interestingly, this company has really thought this through. So there's pre-installed screws there. So rather than having a million screws delivered with the product, they actually pre-installed some of them. So let's actually, before I get too excited, let me grab that. And indeed, remove pre-installed screws. There you go. And we're going to use our handy little ratchet here. So it wants us to just remove the pre-installed screws. So in addition to these 4 screws on the top, you also have 2 screws in each side. And it looks like it wants us to take those out now as well, so I'm going to do that as well. So you want to remember that you're using the thicker, longer ones are the ones for the sides, and the little guys are the ones for the 4 on the top. So all right, I'm going to remove those and fast forwarding. And actually, while I do this little thing here, this little bag, you might be wondering what that is for the pump. So when you're not using the lumbar pump, you can actually stick it in there. So a super convenient nice little leather bag, and that looks nice, and it keeps it within hand's reach, right? Note these little stickers here. So these can come in handy when you're doing these installs for sure. So this means the little thing with the little gazinta there on the top, that means that's the front of the chair, and your butt is basically gonna go back here, and your legs there. Okay, now step 5 still involves this part. I'll bet there's a matching arrow on our attachment here. So let's just see. So the chair base, and indeed, look at that, guys. What did I say? So it's kind of, you might, if you didn't think to look for it, you might miss it. So it does say front. So my instinct on that was right. So that is the quote unquote front. And then these are gonna go here. And then we're going to want to use those 4 pre-installed screws that we just took them out. Now we're gonna do the post install, I guess. See what I did there? They do give you a bunch of extra screws. So these are the ones we wanna put the pre-installed screws, that's why they call them pre-installed, back in where they came out of. So I'm gonna do that now, and I'll fast forward to speed things up. So that is it for the chair base. I'm gonna call this the base. And it looks like next, it wants us to install the arms. So it's just basically, you're installing the arm upside down, that's all. And then I think there's a mat there. I think you have to have a left and a right side. I think you have to get that part right. And it looks like I already have it right. So basically you want this upside down, and then we're just gonna, the machine tools that are there, where you took the pre-installed screws out of. You just want to have that upside down like that, and you install the arm upside down just like that with those screws. So I'm going to do that, and then we'll take a look. Yeah, so there's definitely a left and a right arm. So the arm that has 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in it, you want to have that on the same size as the leather bag. And then what I would do is I would flip that up, so that way when it comes time to have it flap down, it's not going to get stuck. So flip it up just like that, and now I'm gonna install the other arm here, just like I did the last one, and should be good to go. Okay, so now that we have both arms on, the next step is we want to align the hole in the base of the chair with I'm calling it a hydraulic shaft. We want to line that up with the hydraulic shaft there, and it should just sit right on top of there nicely. Let's see. And indeed, look at that. Starting to look like a chair, guys, here, isn't it? The next step is we also have pre-installed screws in the back of the chair, so we need to remove those as well. So I'm going to actually go ahead and do that, and then I'll fast forward to the very next step. Okay, and as I'm removing the last of these pre-installed screws from the backrest, I'm noticing in the instructions that it says, please tilt the backrest angle. And that makes sense because if you look at the way that the chair is machined here, you'll see that it's actually on a little bit of a tilt. So you wanna basically tilt the 2 holes in the backrest. This side's going to be for that one, obviously, but then also to match the other one on the other side. But basically the idea is, guys, you just want to run the screws through here and then line them up with those 2 screws here, the ones that you just took out. Okay, so this is the trickiest part. Interestingly, other YouTube videos that I've seen on this chair did not cover this part of the install, and I can see why. This is a little bit hard to get the angle just right. But you want to sandwich the top between the 2 sides where it needs to be, and then line up the holes as quickly and as best as you can. It's gonna have a nice incline to it. Well, now you just wanna line them up, and then it will go in pretty well here. Okay, so I now have both of those installed. So I'm gonna flip it over. We'll install the other side of the back, and then I think we're ready for the reveal. All right, we're so close I can almost taste it here. So I installed that screw there. And now this guy, I just need to line up the hole, and looks like it's there. Yeah, so this last step is the quote-unquote hardest one, but it's really not. You want to make sure you have the holes lined up, and to do that, you need to tilt the back of the chair a little bit. Then it becomes super easy to do. But I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything up, and then we will come in for a reveal. I want to say, you know you did it right if... Oh, where is it? Oh, okay, here it is. So you want the bag on the same side as your lumbar. Use your lumbar support, and that is ultimately going to go right in there, so we're not sticking it in there right now. Okay, so time for the big reveal. Da-da! So as promised, I said I would do a quick little demo and review for you guys. So I'm just gonna have a sit. Ooh. Yeah, it feels really nice. What I like most about it is it feels firm. I don't feel like I'm kind of loosey-goosey here. In terms of the lumbar, give that a little test here, and oh wow, yeah, I can feel it right up against the small of my back, which is awesome. I have had back issues in the past, and that's why I don't know if you saw, but I used that weird pillow there. I would not need that with this chair at all. This lumbar is sufficient. It actually feels like the lumbar, like in a luxury car. And then, so in terms of the hydraulics here, let me just do a little test. So, okay, so this is the lowest mode, and now let me lift it up. And it goes up even higher. Oh wow, look at that. So I'm 6 feet, and my feet are actually just missing maybe another inch. If you're 6'1" or 6'2", your feet should be able to rest on the floor comfortably, maybe even taller. It will go even higher. Wow, okay. So I'm gonna drop this down just a little bit, and that seems like a nice, good position for me. Yeah, so if you push in the hydraulic piece, you're able to lean back, and oh wow, yeah, so I'm actually leaning back significantly now, and a little more. Oh, geez, there we go, yeah. So it'll lean you back roughly about 110 degrees. Also, we have the armrests actually come up. So if you're like gaming or whatever, and you don't want the armrests in your way, I'll probably leave the armrests down. Actually, I like them. They feel really nice and premium compared to my designer drafting chair here. Like, which one would you guys rather sit on? Drop a comment down below and let me know. for me, I feel like it's no contest. I wish I had picked up something like this sooner. So that is my unboxing, setup, and preliminary review of the Hoffree big and tall office chair. And I would just say that, you know, this is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion. Super affordable. In fact, I will leave a link to this down in the description. There'll be an affiliate link, and I believe Hoffree sent me a coupon code as well that'll give you guys an additional discount on top of whatever other sale they have going on, and or I'll also leave a link to this over to Amazon as well if you want to pick it up over there. But anyhow, I hope the video helped you, and please subscribe to Fun Take on Tech, and hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.